Hey, how you doing, guys? This is a topic I've been wanting to do for quite a while, which is on AMD's Ryzen Threadripper. Now, this CPU is geared towards productivity and workstations, and not toward gaming or along those lines. And we're kind of gonna compare it with Intel's offerings, and it's kind of very notable. Intel seems to be really rising or raising the bar once AMD's been coming out with a lot of great hardware advances for their CPUs, and notably, of course, their graphic cards. And so they kind of upped the ante with their i9s and some of their other things, because for many years, Intel, we've only been seeing maybe 10 to 15% raise in performance every time they come out with a new chip. And they've been kind of focusing on power requirements, using less power type of thing, which is great for, things like laptops, portable devices, but not so much in performance. So I think AMD is one of the reasons why they've been upping their ante for Intel. So let's go ahead and look at this chip, which is 16 core, 32 threads, 40 megabytes cache, at a clock speed of 3.4. Most notably, another thing, and this is also with Intel, is normally the more cores you add, the lower the clock speed. That's to prevent overheating and too much power draw in the chip. They seem to make this even better by raising the frequency. So this kind of comes to, well, which is better? For use, perhaps. Obviously, Intel is going to be the more expensive brand, and especially when you get into their Xeon, which is designed for workstation computers. And so it's funny because, like with the Threadripper, it does go up to 16 cores, but even Intel offers something 22 cores and above, depending. So why would this be a good choice? And you really got to look into other things than just cores and frequency clock speeds, and that's PCI lanes. How much does that CPU provide? And this one actually ups the ante even from Intel with 64 Generation 3 PCI Express lanes. Now, PCI Express lanes are used for many things, not just for the CPU. The PCI Express bus is used for graphic cards. Anything that's plugged into the PCI Express slot, and everything in the computer. So if you use a lot of graphic cards, let's say you throw in 2 or even 3 or more of high-end graphic cards, you would simply oversaturate something that simply doesn't have that many PCI lanes, usually around 40. And even taking a look at some of what Intel offers for their chipset, their typical i-series chips, even the i9, only goes up to 40 PCIe lanes. Of course, with the Xeons, actually up the ante slightly with 48 PCIe slots. With the AMD Ryzen Threadripper chipset, you actually go all the way to 64. So that's going to give you much more bandwidth for things like graphic cards if you use for computational type things, video editing. It could be CAD work or things like that. So that's going to be the biggest and hugest difference between the Intel series chips and our chipsets, as well as their CPUs. So give me your thoughts on this new or newer AMD offerings for the Ryzen Threadripper.